This is the Life is Easy, Life is Good video blog, and this is the 10th video. And I just wanted to continue talking about how all things, good and bad things, excellent and horrible things, work together for our good and for our benefit. And that principle or idea actually comes from the scripture Romans 8, chapter 28, where it says all things work together for our good. And last week I talked about the analogy of the seed and how if we pray for something or ask for something divine, or if we have a desire in our hearts and we spiritually intend for that to unfold in our lives, we begin to see the opposite of that happening. To get frustrated or down or depressed about that is the same as when a farmer wants fruit or wants a harvest and he has a seed in his hand, for him to get discouraged about that seed, because he knows what he's seeking is within the seed, so he has to put it in the ground. It has to go into a dark and constricted place, and it has to actually live in that environment for a while before what's in the seed can come out of it. So I wanted to continue with that idea this week and just kind of share a personal example with you to kind of make it more real for you, and how something horrible can actually turn out to be for our benefit. A few years ago, back in 2011, my older sister, who was 33 at the time, had a stroke in both sides of her brain. And at the time, she had a 1-year-old, she had a 2-year-old, and she also had a 15-year-old who ended up coming to live with me as a result of that stroke. And at the time, it was very devastating. It was devastating for her children. It was devastating for her husband. It was devastating for me. She was staying at the Cleveland Clinic. We drove up there. I stayed there for a week, called off of work. My mom drove up from Indiana. And my heart was just wrenched with emotion about, the possibility that my sister might actually lose her life, who was 33 years old. Up until that point, we just had struggled so much with her, helping her with her finances. She wasn't in a very good marriage at all. She wanted so desperately to make her marriage work. Two of her teenage kids were kind of acting rebellious, and she just continued to pray for her family, for her marriage, and also for her finances. She would work a full-time job and then go to Bowling Green to get her master's degree and then come home and take care of the house. So she was wore out. And as a result, she got a disease. And that disease caused her to have seizures on a regular basis, and then from there developed this tumor in her heart, which exploded and caused her to have a seizure on both sides of her brain. The doctor told us that she was probably going to, at best, be a vegetable in a nursing home, and that we needed to decide as a family whether we wanted to let her live or not. I was staying in a hotel in Cleveland, and I was just kind of spiritually considering, the possibility of this and thinking about how horrible it was. And then something just kind of gradually rose in my heart, and I began to be aware that there was a purpose behind this. I just heard in my heart that even though this seemed very horrible, there was a good thing that was on the other side of this. And so I just, gently within myself asked what that was. And I began to just see how all of the prayers that my sister had prayed and all the prayers that we have prayed for her marriage, for her family, for her finances, that out of this would come the solution to that answer. That this had to happen first in order for that answer to those prayers to happen. So as a result of that, she actually made a full recovery. She's living in Indiana with my mom now. She's not a vegetable. She's walking and talking and doing things on her own. And while the marriage has ended, she's actually in a better relationship now, and she's co-parenting in a healthy way with her husband, who is the father of those children. Her daughter, who was 15 at the time, is 19 now, is starting college, and she's doing well. And her 2 boys are being cared for by my mom, and they're doing well. So I can actually see on the other end of that tragedy all of the prayers that they were praying, because she would always, come to me with those issues, and we as a family would just try to pull together for our best solution to those problems. And right in the middle of that, this thing happens and she has a stroke. So I wanted to share that with you, just so that you could look at your own situations in your own life. If there's any horrible or devastating event that's going on, maybe it's not even that bad, that a close family member has a disease or might be on the verge of death, but even in your own life, don't be fooled or don't be deceived by the darkness of it at surface glance. Just know that there's a greater purpose behind every negative experience. And if you will allow yourself to be at peace in that situation and not desperately try to climb out of that situation or pray yourself out of that situation, not everything that comes against you negatively is supposed to destroy you. Sometimes you're meant to be in that situation only so that as you continue to respond with it with peace and thankfulness and appreciation for the things you do have in your life, that will unfold to actually be a blessing in the end. And some of your deepest prayers that you've prayed will actually be answered as a result of you going through that negative situation. So I just wanted to share that with you as a personal example, to further encourage you and inspire you. Next week I'm going to talk about how life is actually a journey, and the destination that we're headed towards is love. Love of life and love of others. So I'll continue posting these videos on Thursday. Peace.